And the biggest challenge for human race is what we are already used to, changing that.
It's always good to lead by example and be the change that you want to see in the world and explain why you do things the way that you do.
Doing this because we want to make the world a better place. We know that we need to remove CO2, we need to stop emitting so much of it, and we have technology that can do this efficiently and economically.
It's all these developments that kind of lead up to big system solutions like this that are helping change the world.
I'm so happy because I'm in the Hello Tomorrow Summit with Saurabh again.
Hello.
And he's going to talk to us about this specific concept because it's a deep tech conference and people sometimes have questions about what is deep tech.
I mean, it should not be really taken in as a heavy word. What deep tech is just a convergence of technologies, a lot of technologies coming together to solve big challenges, human and planetary health challenges.
One sentence explanation.
How would you explain this to an 8-year-old?
Technologies to solve big challenges.
And then 8-year-old will be like, what type of big challenges?
Why your cheese does not taste the same way it used to taste before. Why we cannot go onto the glaciers because they do not exist.
There are so many cool technologies exist out there to make things better for them.
A lot. So the innovation is really exploding at the moment, and it's the fact that we are aware about it. So the innovation is generally just exploding, and places like Hello Tomorrow bring it together to have them funded, to have them accelerated by people like you and me and by numerous other people around here.
This is our special episode for Hello Tomorrow. This is my first time here. I've been here a long time. I'm very intrigued by the name, actually.
First few times I came here as a volunteer.
Yeah.
Then I worked with Hello Tomorrow, so I came here as somebody from belonging to Hello Tomorrow, and now I'm here as an investor. So I have evolved with Hello Tomorrow in this deep tech ecosystem. The name is amazing. I mean, if you think of it, it's the dawn of tomorrow. We are looking for it, what can be our tomorrow, and frankly, we should not really wait for it. We need to do it today, whatever we want to do it.
Yeah, I was thinking about this name yesterday. You also have the indication of something is not right today or something that we can fix today so we can make something better for tomorrow. So Hello Tomorrow. Make the tomorrow better.
Absolutely. This is exactly the point.
Because last time when we recorded an episode, you want to answer your own question. So now it's your turn. Your own question is...
What really is the one single biggest challenge in climate change mitigation? But one, not many, just one.
If we can really do it, is changing the habits.
Wow.
And we kind of cannot.
Why?
Habits are the hardest to change. If you are used to getting your things done in a certain way, you will not change it simply because you're used to it. Those are the hardest things to do. And if one person changes, it's one thing. Having habits change for a massive population, I'll give you a rather simple example, and not directly to deep tech, but to understand how habits work. Would you suddenly stop drinking tea? And if you can do it, do you think a huge population can suddenly stop drinking tea? And that's exactly the point. And tea is amazing, okay? I'm not anything against tea, okay? But just to give an example of habit, this is how we think about using polybags, plastic polybags. I mean, governments have to enforce regulations, and even then they exist. That's the idea, and that's just one challenge, and there are numerous others. And the biggest challenge for human race is what we are already used to, changing that.
I agree with you. Changing habits is very, very difficult. Happens on individual level as well. But there's a question from the previous guest. I think it's perfect for this because he asked,
what non-traditional startup have you recently heard about that you're very excited about?
I'll talk about a portfolio company from Circulate Capital. So the company is called Algenesis, and normally when you think of plastics, what happens is you think of microplastics, in ocean, you think of, plastic will not degrade, but when you try to change it, you're like, oh, the plastic does not have the same properties. What these guys have done is made a polyurethane foam or polyurethane alternative, exactly polyurethane indeed, but by tweaking the chemistry in a way that It's now bio-based. You can make it via plant oils, and by tweaking the chemistry in a way that it's 100% biodegradable. And they published a paper recently where they showed that this does not even leave microplastics behind. The paper was just published a few days back. Madly excited about the company.
That's great.
Let's make climate cool again.
Yes. She's going to explain this bioelectrochemical system for her company to treat wastewater to us.
Hi, my name is Oriana, and what we do is we treat industrial wastewater, so the stuff that's really, really, really polluted, and we use a bioelectrochemical treatment system to do that. So this is our box of creatures, and all of those creatures that we select for from the environment have a capacity to eat up pollutants. That's their favorite food. And then what they do is they generate electricity at the same time that they're consuming the pollutants. So that's how we treat wastewater.
It's a very important subject these days because wastewater is like everywhere. And it's so good that you're doing this. It's also a modular solution.
Yes.
So how long does it take for it?
So the wastewater that we treat is extremely contaminated. But it still will only take our system about 8 hours to remove a majority of the pollutants in that water and get it to a point where it can be reused or discharged without a penalty. So we pack these guys like Legos inside a shipping container, and then we plug and play on a customer site, operate for the customer, and sell them back the water.
And all the bacteria are local as well.
All of the bacteria are natural, and we source them locally. So we don't grow anything in the lab.
How would you explain this to an 8-year-old?
All right. Well, you've seen the Magical Beast movie from Harry Potter.
The Fantastic Beasts.
Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
So you can imagine this as our suitcase of creatures. And all of these creatures have extraordinary talents. And they consume all of the pollutants that we want to get rid of.
So you just bring this to wherever you want to deploy it, and then you works as magic.
That's right.
Thank you. You're going to answer a question from a previous guest.
What are you doing in your personal capacity, and not just your own habit change, to influence others towards climate change and sustainability?
I think it's always good to lead by example. And be the change that you want to see in the world. And explain why you do things the way that you do.
Are you doing anything?
I have reduced my water consumption significantly in my personal home. Do that by in the shower, right? If I'm washing my hair, I turn off the water. If I'm soaping up, I turn off the water. So reduce the water, and then I time myself in the shower, so I'm only in there for about 5 minutes with the water running.
You've already influenced me. I will try to adopt those.
Let's make climate cool again.
Thank you. Thank you. The CTO of Cosmic Aerospace with me. They're trying to build this electric passenger aircraft. And then he's going to tell me how you can actually design the aircraft so that make it work in the future. You can actually fly a passenger plane using batteries.
That's right. So our goal is to decarbonize aviation, and to do that we're going to use battery electric airplanes, partly because they have really high efficiency. When you use batteries and convert them, put that power through electric motors, you don't lose much of energy like you do with a combustion engine, where you have a lot of heat generated, a lot of noise. So electric propulsion intrinsically just has a lot of efficiency on its own. So we're building around these motors. We've already built an engine for our aircraft, and now we're building and designing around that to create a really efficient battery electric airplane. A lot of people
about this design,
a lot of people say you can't go very far on battery power. We want to demonstrate that with existing battery technology you actually can. And there's a few key parts of that enable long-range battery-powered flight. So for one, you need a lot of batteries, and that's just undeniable. So fitting as much battery as you can into the airplane, we're putting it into our fuselage. That's why our fuselage is a little larger. It's under the floor, but we have essentially about 50% of the aircraft is battery weight. So it's heavy relative to the passenger weight, but that's one of the kind of compromises you make to make a really useful range out of battery-powered airplanes. Another piece is to extend the wing and make a really efficient aerodynamic aircraft.
So that is very long compared to normal.
So relative to other aircraft, which might only have a wingspan about a half to two-thirds of this, we stretch this wing out, and you eliminate one component of drag, which is induced drag, the drag due to lift. there's other aspects of this which you can see it's just a very clean design. There's not a lot of things hanging off of it. There's very few intersections between parts. And we've hidden the engines into the wing design here. So the engines are distributed here. We've got many of them, but that lets us fit them into the wing, hide any extra wetted area, and eliminate a big source of drag, actually, in conventional airplanes.
That's so cool. What I learned just recently, is that the usual airplane, they put the oil, the kerosene in the wings. I didn't know in the past.
That's right. They're usually filled with
so then you
jet fuel.
Change that to the engines here?
That's right. So the engines are kind of stuck inside of there. There's no additional wetted area. You can kind of just think of it as thickening the wing in order to put the engines in there.
Batteries is here.
And batteries are in the center part.
How would you explain this to an 8-year-old?
So my 8-year-old likes birds. So one of the things that we've looked at is different types of birds have different characteristics. Songbirds, like say a robin or something, they're very kind of compact. They have very short wings, and that's good for maneuvering and jumping place to place, but it won't get them very far. So something like an albatross or a seagull, they have very large wingspan, very sleeker, much sleeker, and so they can travel those larger distances without getting tired.
And that's where you get the inspiration from.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. You're going to answer a question from a previous guest is,
what are the top 3 innovations that you've seen at Hello Tomorrow that you're going to think are most impactful for climate change?
You can start from yourself.
Okay, well, sure, I'll promote myself. Cosmic Aerospace is doing something that is really needed to eliminate carbon emissions in aviation. There's some other really interesting ones. Let's see, there's a company over here that's doing a really novel way to convert electric power into controlling these kind of motors that we have.
That's on my yesterday's, I've interviewed.
It's all these developments that kind of lead up to big system solutions like this that are helping change the world. And then one other one, there's some really interesting small solar cells for wearable electronics. And so eliminating batteries completely from some things that have very low power draw. So things like watches that don't need much power, but they do need some. Instead of having to charge your watch all the time, you can buy
something like this. Okay, gotcha. That's good. Let's make climate cool again. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Our borates are the first and only high-temperature liquid phase material for capturing CO2.
I have the COO of Mantel with Danielle. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I love your presentation, so that's why I reached out to you. I want you to explain what is behind your company's technology and how does it work. Point source capture using molten borate. Understand, because it's point of source capture, it's more density. You have a higher chance to capture more CO2, and then also you're partnering with these people, they're upgrading their boiling system.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mantel's doing point source capture, meaning we're capturing CO2 at the source of emissions. We're partnering with heavy industrial facilities, so steel, cement, pulp and paper, really anywhere where they have steam and high emissions, we're able to capture. We do this using our molten borate that operates at high temperatures in the liquid phase. We exploit the thermodynamic benefits of high temperatures to do this, meaning that we can capture CO2 extremely efficiently, driving the penalty of capture down to nearly zero, and then driving down the cost of capture.
Oh, that's amazing. Thanks for the explanation.
How would you explain this to an 8-year-old?
Absolutely. So Mantel is using a new material, a molten borate, that you can think of like lava, a hot, flowing, fiery liquid to capture CO2 or carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is in our atmosphere. It's a part of our atmosphere that's used to grow plants. That's very important. But when there's too much of it, it's a bad thing. And it can cause things like temperatures to rise or the sea level to raise. It's kind of like a blanket over the earth, sucking out all the good things out of the earth. Now we use our molten borate, our lava, to capture some of that carbon dioxide and store it away permanently, basically turning it into a rock and storing it permanently so that it never comes back out. We're doing this paired with some of the places where some of the companies that emit more carbon dioxide, things that you need for your world to go around, like electricity or building materials.
Thanks for the explanation. So then now you're going to answer a question from a previous guest. The question is,
how anyone starting a company is envisioning how they're going to change the world, how their contribution and why they've chosen to do that particular task.
Doing this because we want to make the world a better place. We know that we need to remove CO2, we need to stop emitting so much of it, and we have technology that can do this efficiently and economically.
Yeah, it always excites me when so many people are making things happen for us to have a better tomorrow.
Let's make climate cool again.
Thank you.
Expressed by our guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official position of iSize Climate Tech. We thank our guests for sharing their insights and experiences, and we thank you, our listeners, for joining us on this journey. Until next time.